I grew up in India of the 60s and 70s. I had very lovely memories of childhood, of warmth and family, friends, rituals, cultural activities all the time. I had so many dreams. I wasn't sure if these dreams would be all fulfilled in India itself, where I was growing up. I found an ad that said that the government of France was offering scholarships to Indian nationals for higher studies. I applied, and there was only one scholarship offered for economics. So that is how I landed in France, without any idea of what I was doing. It was a huge cultural shock. My first meal, I remember, was steak et frites. And so I looked at the steak, it was beef. Never had beef in my life before, and it was on the rare side. So I had my first class, was very hungry, didn't know what to do. So I ate the fries, and then I just circled around and ate the parts of beef that seemed to be better cooked. I had a terrible pang of guilt after that. I just grew up in every way, intellectually, emotionally, obviously physically. So it was a time of explosive beginnings in every way. Having spent a good close to 7 years in France, made friends, called it home, it was very difficult to think of life again back in India and reconnecting. Chose to come to the US to visit my sister who was newly married. I had no plans. I was just testing the waters and forming my next stage, what I would do. Once I made up my mind that I would like to spend some years and settle in the US perhaps, but certainly spend some years, I needed to go through the hoops of any immigrant. The easy way to follow that path is having a university sponsor me. Went through the whole process, became a faculty member, began in Illinois and then moved on to Minnesota here. In the process, acquired a mortgage and got married, had a daughter. So life took on its colors. And then when this period ended, as it ends for most people, the child goes off to university, you suddenly ask yourself, what is it you always wanted to do, but just didn't have the time and inclination, or just didn't have the opportunity? So at that point, I was thinking of starting my own business. Just at that moment, one of my former students, an alum of St. Thomas, finished his MBA at St. Thomas, and he said, I'd like to get some experience working in the US. So I said, do you want to start a business? He said, you can do that? I said, I don't know, let's try. Being from North India, I knew my apples. He came from Normandy, he knew his apples. And we land in Minnesota, which is apple country. So we said, you know what, let's just start by importing cider. And we hadn't realized just how timely this was. But then we said, but we could do something else. We could perhaps take just regular juice and do something with that. So that's when we took apple juice, and I used some of my Ayurvedic techniques from South Asia, started to infuse it with ginger and turmeric and mint, and then elderberries, and so it took off. So we had imported cider from France, imported compote, and our own juices, Minnesota grown, 100%. We didn't realize that it would be a success. We started at the farmers market, really grassroots, St. Paul Farmers Market, and then slowly into delis and retail stores like Whole Foods and Kowalski's and Lund's and retail delis. This is the best time of my life in many ways. And I think I've just added to the long stream of very illustrious, very hardworking, very wonderful people who came before me and who will come after me too. And I hope that in adding to that stream, I've made that stream more like a river. That is what I would call my contribution.